I got you! I got you!
To quote a great philosopher, hard work pays off, dreams come true, bad times don't last, but bad guys do. From the late great Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, rest in peace. Welcome back to another episode of the M&K Productions Podcast. I'm your host, Mac, joined here as usual by my co-host and my true confidant, Christian, aka Miss Flamingo. Say hello, folks at home, Christian.
Hello! We got a big episode today.
Yes, we do. And we are going to be talking about The Batman. Is it better than The Dark Knight? Only time will tell. But this is going to be a big discussion, so we need to bring in some help. We need to bring in some reinforcements. So we reached into our bag of tricks, aka the Instagram metaverse, and we pulled out a diamond. Ladies and gentlemen, Darren from Darren Reviews.
Yay! It's finally good to have you on!
It's so much fun to be here. I've been listening for a while, so it's great to, be here and talk to you guys. And I'm excited to talk Batman because I love comic books.
Yes, we do. And I've seen your stuff at Guy at the Movies. I love your coverage. So,
Thank
you. You cover all the Marvel shows.
Yes,
right?
When the Marvel shows are on, I hate Wednesdays because I'm up till, 1 a.m. watching them on the West Coast and then, writing a review, recap, and trying to do it all before work the next morning.
Oh gosh. So that's like a lot of Red Bull energy that you had to get in coffee.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because remember, it used to be on Fridays. At least when they used to release it on like Fridays, you could at least chill out for the weekend. But now,
Friday was wonderful. But it's like Wednesday, and Wednesday's like press screening night too. So I like run from work to press screening. And I hate Wednesdays when Marvel.
That should be a
Tuesday night at midnight. Wonderful.
Yes.
Day afterwards, nope.
So, Darren, for the folks at home who are not they're not familiar, what do you like? What do you like to do? What's your main, what's your caveat?
So I review a lot of movies and television shows because, like many of us on Instagram, I cannot stop watching things. I think I watched almost 700 movies last year, which was quite concerning. I'm gonna blame the pandemic on that one, but
everyone does. So that's fine.
It let my passion run wild. So I review that, and Kristen also mentioned I also write for GuyAtTheMovies.com and recap all their Marvel Disney Plus series.
That's awesome. And you've been going to a lot of press screenings lately. Tell us about the one recent press screening and which one audiences should keep out for.
So I saw X yesterday morning, the new A24 film. Yeah, I had the day off work, and my buddy's like, we're doing a press screening. I'm like, I'm coming. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. It's kind of a fun throwback to that kind of 70s, 80s slasher, akin to kind of like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's why I'm excited for it.
Gory. It's everything you want from a horror film. Funny enough, it's the most A24 film I've ever seen. It's, straightforward. Like, it looks, visually it's beautiful, but it's not like they're trippy ones that they normally do, like Midsommar or Hereditary, but really well done. So definitely check that out when it hits theaters this weekend.
For people listening again, what's one piece of work that you're proud of that if they want to go and look up a lot of your works, which one do you say like you should check this one out to see what I'm about?
Or here, the best way to do it is, what's your favorite film that you reviewed?
I feel like I had a really excessively long but really good review for Les Miserables that I did last year for a review event. I wrote, it was 7 parts into the comments, but
wow.
I feel like that was a good review to figure out how much I love musicals and that movie, and
now
how much I love writing about films.
Was that the old school one? Was that the Hugh
Jackman one?
Oh God, I cried like a baby in that one. Oh my gosh.
Every 6 months I do, yes.
Like,
I watch it.
Do you? Okay, so if you haven't seen Les Miserables, then you're probably gonna be spoiled by now. But
I've never watched
the part where Hugh Jackman takes in Cosette. The minute that happens, to the very credits is how long I cried when I saw it in the theaters.
So I was about the same. I started with Anne Hathaway singing "I Dreamed a Dream," and then it just continued for the next 2 hours.
Yep, and people were watching me in the theater like, what the heck is wrong with her crying?
People were offering me Kleenexes and like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not,
Same.
and thank you. And then I went with my family. My brother actually fell asleep because he hates musicals, so to each their own.
Oh, we have somebody else who likes to sleep during musicals here.
Yes!
Listen, the only musical that I like is Repo, the Genetic Opera, and Rent. So you can put that in your pipe and smoke it.
And you liked In the Heights.
It was okay. I want to say I liked it. It was fun. It was better than Hamilton because Hamilton's boring, and I will fight anyone that will try to disagree with that.
Are you a Hamilton fan? Wait,
I'm a big fan of Hamilton. I've seen it live 3 times and the Disney version multiple times. Yeah,
I thought it was boring. I didn't like it. It was like it's just a bunch of guys in petticoats singing.
Mag and I just thought it was Mag wasn't in the realm of not really like digging it when we discussed it. So those who haven't heard that episode, go check that out though. But for now, Mac, I think we should do something now, and that is the news.
Yep. So without further ado, I say we should get right into the news.
This is CNN.
All right. So the news for this past couple weeks of Miss Podcast. So Christian, you go first with your news. What's going on in your...
All right. So one of the biggest news stories I have is that the Critics' Choice Awards was this past weekend, along with the BAFTAs and the Directors Guild Awards. So everybody in Hollywood was really, really tired when they went back to work on Monday. So the big winners of the night included Jane Campion's film, The Power of the Dog, which won, I believe it was 4 trophies, along with Ted Lasso, along with 4 trophies, and as well as the hit television series Succession. Jessica Chastain won her big award of the night for Best Actress, along with Will Smith. So those were the big winners of the night. However, the biggest surprise, well, I shouldn't say biggest surprise, but the most surprising moment of the night was when viewers tuned in to see, hopefully, Selena Gomez win for her acting performance in a comedy series for Only Murders in the Building. And this is according to Pop Fiction. Critics' Choice Award viewership reportedly drops by 47% after Selena Gomez loses her categories of the Critics' Choice Awards. So
Jesus
if
Christ.
that doesn't tell you the award shows are dropping, I don't know what is.
Wait, so who did she lose to?
She was up against Jean Smart. So Jean Smart won for Hacks. So if you haven't seen Hacks, go check that out. But I really enjoyed I'm a Selena Gomez stan. For anybody who knows me and just knows me by heart, I worship Selena Gomez. I was rooting for her to win, but I understand Jean Smart winning. That show Hacks is actually pretty good. So, Mac, what do you think of the winners, and what did you watch? And Darren, did you watch the Critics' Choice Awards?
All I know is that What If won, and I was happy. Yes, I showed all the haters of the Marvel animated series that show was worthy of an award. I love What If.
Darren, what did you think of the award show, and did you watch?
I didn't watch because we don't get it up here in Canada, so I was just following it on Twitter.
Okay.
I think most of the awards were pretty standard. I'm a huge West Side Story fan, so I was all there for Ariana DeBose continuing her reign of taking every award, and that Oscar is just hers, so give it to her now.
I'm just excited to see her represent a new generation of LGBTQ fans, and because she is a queer actress, and I'm just excited to see her take over the world at this point because she's excellent in the West Side Story remake, and she's just a great voice for this generation. I'm excited to see what her speech is going to be. I'm excited to see what's in store for her. But you are right about West Side Story.
Yeah.
So that is the major news. I saw the award show and I thought it was a mess.
So speaking of that mess, what did you think of Jane Campion's comments? Because that's getting some backlash online right now. And I'm going, is that going to derail her Oscar run? Because I was not a fan of The Power of the Dog. So I'm like, is there a chance for Coda to sneak in, or Belfast, or something else?
What did she say?
Go ahead.
I have to pull up the exact quote, but she was speaking about Venus and Serena Williams.
Yeah, it wasn't great. She was
and basically saying that they didn't face the same adversity to men that she faced as a female director that they faced as female athletes.
Now you see now, you done fucked up, you know that, don't you?
I just stared at not CD, what the hell? I stared at the TV and I just was like, are you on a different planet?
That
like,
sounds
I just looked at her and I was just like...
Here's the quote. Venus
quote,
and Serena, you're such marvels. However, you don't play against the guys like I have to.
I just sat there and I just cringed. Like, her speech was going well, and then she hit a major brick wall with that comment.
Oh my God.
All she had to say was, hey, Venus, hey, Serena, love you girls, very inspirational, good night. That's all she had to say.
Oh, yeah. Yo, oh my God.
A major brick wall with that comment. And I was just like...
That's so tone deaf. What are you doing, Jane?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Exactly. And I was like, do you not see who they have to compete against all the time? Do you not see it? So it just shows that, like, you know, she's just not into their universe at all. She's just a very one set side female. Does not understand the average person. So I don't think she'll lose at this point. I think she'll just be very more careful now of what her Oscar speech is gonna say.
Heavily scripted, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, you're reading this.
Sometimes I just feel like half the time the people should just say, thank you. Goodbye.
You think it'd be that simple, but no, they gotta talk, and then they gotta keep talking.
Yep.
Oof.
And then they say something that they probably will regret like weeks later. The best Oscar speech to this day, I still think, is J.K. Simmons, where he said, just call your mother. That's it. That's the best.
Yeah. That was really good. Yeah.
But anyways, Mac, what's your next piece of news?
All right, so my piece of news is that actress Zoe Saldana said after just watching 20 minutes of Avatar 2, it moved her to tears.
Oh, no.
So does anyone remember Avatar? That came out 13 years ago?
Nobody cares. It's like the whole thing now where we had this situation with the Matrix. It's got a bomb. I think at this point, like, James Cameron is way too late. I don't care about the Avatar, nor cared when I saw it. Did not like it. Still in that minority of, like, what?
Darren, what did you think of Avatar? Did you see it when it came out?
I saw it quite a few times when it came out in theaters. I saw it like before everyone discovered it, because no one discovered it till like January after it came out, like right before Christmas. I absolutely loved it. Like, yes, the story is a little simplistic, but like the world building and the visuals, it was such an experience to get lost to in theaters. And that's why I kept going. So everyone kept going, oh, we want to go see Avatar. So I kind of went once a month for whatever the 4 or 5 months it was in theaters for, because it was playing forever.
It was playing forever. I didn't know about this film until I saw Sigourney Weaver talk about it on like Saturday Night Live, honestly.
I think it'll be good. Like, has it missed its time? Potentially. But I think what will be, everyone will remember the name, they'll remember the visuals, and that will drive people back to the theaters, unlike something like Matrix, where it was like, why are we continuing this story? There was nothing kind of visual. Cameron's been developing his underwater 3D, high frame rate, whatever he's doing for this. So it's going to be an experience for theaters. So I think that's enough reason to venture back to Pandora.
So a lot of people have it's actually, thanks to re-release, it is the highest grossing film of all time, which is interesting. But what I've noticed with Avatar throughout the years is that not only has it been 13 years since the first movie when it's supposed to come out this time, aren't we getting like 3 or 4 sequels after, like 5?
They're supposed to be. I remember that.
I've noticed a lot of people, when Avatar came out, you loved it, but over the years, a lot of people saying it's very overrated and terrible. Do you guys feel like, I know Christian felt like that, but Darren, do you feel Avatar is overrated, or is it like, is it good, but it's misunderstood?
I think it just gets a lot of hate because it was the highest grossing film of all time, and it was the one everyone was talking about, so everyone loved it at the moment. Then it passed, and they're like, well, that was actually just basic, boring, and they kind of like to hate on it. I don't think it deserves it. Is it the greatest movie of all time? No, but very few are, so.
That is very true. Mac, are you ready for that Avatar sequel?
You know, I completely forgot it comes out because like, oh yeah, they are doing a sequel. Because it's like, to be honest, Cameron really didn't do anything a lot to keep the hype of Avatar there, because when we didn't get a video game announcement until like Ubisoft did it last year. And then like, were there like a few books, I think, maybe, but not like a lot. And with these sequels, they're supposed to explore the different worlds that you mentioned in the first movie. You're like, it's been so long. It's like, does anyone even remember Avatar that well to know the story? They remember the story that well enough to be invested in it? Like, he hasn't really done. I know he's a perfectionist, but he hasn't done anything to kind of keep us invested in the world of Pandora.
I think older audiences are gonna feel like at this point. I feel like at least millennials are gonna drive to see Avatar, because I grew up in the stages of like, oh yeah, this was like the hottest ticket at the moment. But I feel like now, as time goes on, a lot of people have forgotten about it. But let's see how it does. When's the release date again? If it's ever gonna come out?
December of this year, because it got pushed back from last year.
And then it's gonna get pushed back again.
Then it'll be a full 14 years since it came out.
And then James Cameron will be in a wheelchair going to promote Avatar, or in like a little walker. Just kidding. Love you, James Cameron. But we will move on to the next news story. Elvis will be in the building for the Cannes Film Festival. That's right. The latest Baz Luhrmann movie will be premiering at the one and only, the legendary, the film festival of all film festivals, the Cannes Film Festival, as well as Top Gun Maverick. So, Mac and Darren, what do you think of these big budget movies heading on over to Cannes?
You can go first, Darren. I got a lot to say about the Elvis movie.
Yeah. Don't have too many thoughts on the Elvis film. I'm interested in it. I really like Baz Luhrmann as a director. Mm-hmm. I think he is a good choice to bring something new to the musical biopic drama, because we've seen so many of those films. So I think his visual flair will bring something new to Elvis, and I think that will work well with the music. As for Top Gun Maverick, I've been waiting for that movie for 2 years. I am ready for it to finally come out. I was raised on the original and the soundtrack, so like, give me that movie now. Also, so my mother can stop going, when is Top Gun coming out? Because that's her favorite movie.
Oh, all right.
Nice.
Well, that's so cute. Mac, go off. I'm ready for you to go off. Let's go.
So I'm not too sure about the Elvis movie, because, you know, Elvis is he's influential in the music genre, but he also comes with a lot of baggage with his topics. So seeing the trailer, and I'm like, uh-oh. You're gonna touch on it, but I feel like that you're either gonna like this movie or not like it, because, you know, Tom Hanks, he's good in anything. I don't know about the main star. I don't think I've seen him in a lot of stuff.
Okay. Did you grow up with Zoe 101? That's
yes.
Austin Butler.
That's him?
Yeah.
Yep. Are you ready?
Ooh, I know you see me standing here. Do I look good, my dear? Do I look good today? Ooh, I'm just another kind of girl, and you wanna see my world, so come and run away. Yeah, yeah. If you wanna play, come and play today. Let's just get away. Yeah, I will make you see all the things that you can be. Believe in yourself and follow me. Yeah, yeah.
And if you remember, he was Zoe's boyfriend right before Chase.
Oh, that guy.
Yes.
That's throwing me.
That's a way back. Oh my god.
My age. And then he was also in Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure.
Right. That's where I recognize him from.
And he was in Aliens in the Attic.
Oh my gosh, he was in 2 movies with Ashley Tisdale.
Yeah.
This man has a legendary acting pedigree, so it can't go wrong as
He
Elvis.
has since blown up since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because he was also in that too.
Which one was he? Who was he in that one?
He was the one who worked with Manson and was killed by the dog, Sandy the dog. And,
that guy. Wow, he looks different.
Along with not Bradley Cooper, Brad Pitt when they were all in that fight in the end. And he also appears in the movie a couple times, but yeah, he's blowing up now. And he also used to date Vanessa Hudgens.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So he's.
Yeah, I don't know. I like musical biopics. My favorite musical biopic has to be Straight Outta Compton. But and then the Top Gun Maverick, like I said, completely forgot that's a movie coming out too. Like I was like, cool, but do we need it? No, not really. But I'll watch it. I got a cool tin, a popcorn tin from Cinemark when I went to go see a movie a couple months ago. It was like a souvenir they're giving out.
Oh, and one more thing before we go off about Top Gun. I say about Top Gun and how excited I am. Austin Butler is also being discussed as the villain for the next Dune movie.
I saw that, yes.
So he is blowing up, and I'm excited to see him in this because it's so funny for me who like grew up watching him and now seeing him in like a huge Baz Luhrmann movie. I'm just like, okay, let's bring it. Let him go to Cannes. Let him go have fun, and then we'll see him on all the TV stuff. I'm excited to see what he's gonna do. But more importantly, Top Gun Maverick. I am ready to die in the theater, just screaming my heart out at all the planes and the helicopters and all Tom Cruise, gorgeousness and highway through the danger zone, and I'm ready for it. I'm so ready for it. So Mac, let's move on to the last news story.
All right, so the last news story. Nicolas Cage's new movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. At the time of this recording, we're recording on March 15th. It's scheduled to be in theaters on April 22nd, but it had just premiered at South by Southwest, and it is currently sitting at 100% Rotten Tomatoes off 15 reviews. And It won't say perfect, but it'll probably like stay high. But I am excited for this movie. Christian and we are well-known Nicolas Cage fanatics. But Darren, are you a Cage fan? Are you a Cage head for Nicolas Cage?
Are you Cageaholic?
I don't think I'd say I'm a Cageaholic, but I'm really enjoying his renaissance where he's finding himself as an actor again after some really bad generic action thrillers in the mid 2000s, 2005 through 2010. You know, Knowing, Next, all those terrible ones that we all saw. Because it was, look, it's Nick Cage, and you watch it, you're like, I just killed 10 brain cells and don't know what happened.
Oh.
So I think I'm excited for the film. I've been like avoiding trailers and stuff. I've heard about what it's about. I think it's a great idea. So I'm like, I'm all in. I'll be there in April.
I was so hyped for it. It's very Nick Cage at this moment in time. And I love it. And knowing what he did, like I liked him in Mandy, loved him in Pig. So I'm ready to see him go full out in this movie.
Have you guys ever seen Mom and Dad with him?
Yes, Mom and Dad.
I love that. That was like, you know what? I think the thing I love about Nicolas Cage is that like he knows his type of acting style. I think I forgot the name he gave for it, but like it works for him. And he said the reason why he left like mainstream Hollywood because he wasn't allowed to be like himself. But like now when he's done all these indie movies, like he did Willy's Wonderland and everything.
Love Willy's Wonderland. Oh my gosh.
I know people hated that, but I was like, he was awesome in that.
That was wild.
I'm in that realm of did not like it.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. And then like I just want him to have if he doesn't do a Nicolas Cage freak out, it'll be disappointing. But if he has one freak out, it'll be awesome.
Your motherfucking mother should open the door! Motherfuckers! You're going to open this motherfucking door!
Just imagine this time next year, we could be talking about Nicolas Cage being nominated as himself as for an Oscar.
That's some meta stuff right there.
And like, what if it gets a Best Picture nomination? A Nicolas Cage, bad Nicolas Cage movie gets nominated for an Oscar.
It would bring a tear to my eye because I love it.
Then I would be like, all right, then Hollywood must understand something now, or we're just in a huge culture now.
Good.
All right, guys, that is the news for today. So if you have any news that you want to share with us, please send it over to Mac and I on Instagram, on the Instagram page. But for now, we're going to jump into today's topic, which is what, Mac?
I'm Vengeance, the Batman.
I've always loved little puzzles. What is cruel, poetic, or blind? But when it's denied, it's violence you may find.
The answer's justice.
This is all about the Waynes.
This guy's hilarious. Maybe this is all coming to an end. What is the Batman?
Okay, so the topic, it is probably a good time for him anyway, but today we're going to be discussing the new Batman movie, which has been probably the most anticipated comic book movie in like a couple years now, and this is the first solo Batman movie in 10 years since the last Dark Knight movie. But this is the one with the guy from Twilight. I'm just joking with Robert Pattinson. I'm going to put some respect on his name. And it's directed by Matt Reeves, who did the Cloverfield movie and the War and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And in this movie, we follow Pattinson as Bruce Wayne / Batman 2 years since becoming the Cape Crusader, and he has to take on a new villain, the Riddler, while also trying to take down some crime bosses in the meantime. And the main stars in here, you got Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Jeffrey Wright, Paul Dano, John Turturro, and Colin Farrell, and Andy Serkis support. So this movie is very, very intriguing, and by intriguing, I mean it's phenomenal. And before we start off the discussion, I'm going to open it to Darren, but I want to ask you to this. Is this movie the best Batman movie? Because there is an argument saying that this surpasses The Dark Knight, which is considered the gold standard now for superhero movies into this new generation. So do you guys think that The Batman is the best Batman movie of all time?
Before I go, Darren, why don't you rank it and talk about it first?
So I would say no, it's not the best superhero film, whether we're talking DC, Batman, or even overall. I think it was really good. I have some more minor complaints, but I think it's just when we've had so many different versions of Batman and so many different superhero films, there's just some things that have been perfected so well that this one was just missing it on a few points for me. But definitely one of the best movies of the year so far. Nolan still reigns supreme. What he did with his Batman was taking it, he transcended the comic book genre into a mainstream thriller, and that this was very much a comic book film, which I loved about it, but it didn't quite have that lasting impression that Nolan did, where he, Batman wasn't just a superhero, it was a symbol. It was way more than one person.
I can agree with that, because it's like, it's also hard. It's kind of like you use the same argument with Spider-Man, where like each of the Batmen are good in their own ways. Like I think Michael Keaton was a great Bruce Wayne. Batman, he was fine. Val Kilmer, which is okay. George Clooney, I can see him more as Bruce Wayne. I mean, Batman with the bat credit card, you never leave the cave without it.
George Clooney with the bat nipples is my book.
Christian Bale was a good, like, modern version of the Batman, and he was, I believe him as Bruce Wayne. Ben Affleck was terrific doing, like, the older, more, like, violent Batman, and Robert Pattinson, he's good at showing the early years in the more comic form, accurate form of Batman in the cinema. So I think each of them have their strengths and weaknesses, and, it's kind of hard to say who's really the best, because they're best in their own category.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, when I think of if I have to pick a favorite, though, because I know we've discussed this in the past, Mac. Right now, like Christian Bale, I think is my favorite, though, and just might go down as the greatest. Then I think follow along with Michael Keaton, but I think Robert Pattinson does have a strong chance now at this point, because I love the way he delivered in this film. He surprised many folks, which is what I think a lot of people expect. Given how Keaton was, because he was all known for Beetlejuice and everything, and everybody was surprised by that. Christian Bale was just known for the drama stuff that he was doing, and then everybody was surprised by that. And then it's the Twilight guy, and everybody's gonna love him now. And I adored him in this, and I loved Pattinson even before the Batman. I mean, he's so excellent in all of his movies that I've last seen him in, including The Last City of Z to Good Time. I mean, the man is a really outstanding actor, and I'm very, very happy with his performance. I thought he delivered in all the aspects. And I do think it's like, for me, I think personally speaking, right now it's in my top, I want to say 5 Batman. I think it's either like close to a 2 or 3. I think everybody can agree too that the greatest Batman movie of all time is The Dark Knight. What do you have to say, Darren?
I like Dark Knight Rises better. It's
Ah!
controversial. Ever so slightly. Like I like the
Just
conclusion of a trilogy. So like I like how that one ties everything off. But like as a solo individual film, like Dark Knight is the gold standard.
Yeah.
I think for an overall story, Dark Knight just slightly takes the cake for me.
Yeah, I could totally see that for a lot of people for liking that for that reason. But for that though, it just ranks it down a little bit because I was not crazy about Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. And I think that was like, it's still the Dark Knight Rises is still in my top 5. It's just lower for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what really stands out in this Batman movie on its own is that you just go in and it's a very dark, gritty, old school Batman story. And one of the great things that this film took inspiration from is the film Seven.
And Zodiac Killer.
And Zodiac Killer, like all the great David Fincher films, because I'm a Fincherholic. Like I am obsessed with the man. So I was very, very happy to see like all the ways that they incorporated into the Batman movie and really made it intriguing. Because I feel like when we watch a lot of box office results, a lot of the higher films are mostly like dark, gritty action films, like the Gone Girl, like Fincher films. Like those are the films that really drive people, and I think that's what they were going for that film, and people are really digging it. That's why it's getting those numbers. So what did you guys think of, first of all, the Catwoman? Because that was also a big major discussion.
Well, to sum up what I thought of Catwoman, I saw it was a story. I guess every time Zoe Kravitz was on screen, a girl was moaning in the theater. So I guess that's something that could explain it. I thought Zoe, I saw it. I was like, yeah, I can see that. Like, good. I'm a big fan of Zoe Kravitz. I've loved her. Didn't realize she was the girl from X-Men First Class when I was a kid. That with the butterfly wings. I'm like, wow. You start to notice that there was a lot of people in different stuff when you're little and you just don't recognize it. But I always liked her. I thought she was a great actress. Like her standout role for me was when she was in Dope, which is a great movie with.
Dope is so good.
Shameik Moore, and I was like, I can see her as more Catwoman, and she really does. You know who she reminds me of for her performance? Eartha Kitt from the Adam West Batman series. She was like a more modern version of Eartha Kitt.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. What did you think of her performance, Darren?
I really like Zoe Kravitz. I think she was excellent. She was kind of very mysterious, but also keeping true to kind of the comic book roots of Selena Kyle. Her story was very much Selena's story from The Long Halloween. So you're very much getting that kind of comic thing there. I think the one part, it wasn't her fault. It wasn't her performance that let me down, but I felt the writing was relying too much on, the comic plot points and not letting Zoe develop the character herself. So I hope she comes back for a sequel. They'd be crazy not to bring her back because...
Yeah, honestly, at this point. She has a great connection with the Batman himself. I mean, I love their story and how they are there's just this romantic vibe. They mesh so well together.
All I could think of when I was watching two of them going, okay, right, Zoe Kravitz's marriage ended after this film. I could see why.
Yeah. I mean, those recent press photos are a little steamy there. So I'm I could see that So, but anyways, I loved her. As I was very surprised. I was on the train of people like, I'm not really like crazy about it. I'm not crazy about the casting. I know she was really a great actress, but I really was on this train of casting Eliza Gonzalez because I heard that her name was being discussed for the part, and I was like, oh, she would be great. Like, I loved her in Baby Driver. Like, she's amazing, and I'm like, just cast her, just cast her. But then I was like, oh, Zoe Kravitz, and I was just like, huh? Okay. And then I went along with it, and she really surprised me and took me mistaken me for and surprised me with my expectations, and really dug her performance. And then I also love Jeffrey Wright in this film. He's outstanding in this film.
I thought he was great. So I think for the last couple Batman movies, well, the Nolan ones in this movie, they've had like, you have to nail Commissioner Gordon to have that sense of like, these two, they're professional. This seems like that they're really respect each other, and you felt that with Gary Oldman and Christian Bale and Pattinson and Wright. They were good, like bouncing off each other, because you can tell this is a young Commissioner Gordon. Like, he wasn't even Commissioner Gordon; he was still like Sergeant Gordon. He wasn't the commissioner yet, and then this is Pattinson's Batman. He was just starting out, so you can really see that, like, hey, these two really they mutually respect each other, because even he says in the film, like, you're a damn good cop, like, you're good at what you do,
and they rely on each other heavily in this film. You could see that through the minimalist scenes even. And I think the scene that really stands out to me in my mind is when they're in that interrogation room. They just play off each other so well, and I just love that scene. And if you haven't seen that scene, then you got to go watch The Batman, folks. It's really a scene that really stands out in this film. Mm-hmm. What else did you guys like about the film? Did you guys enjoy the score?
Oh my gosh,
the score was the highlight for me. Oh
my
god, it's been on loop for a week.
Especially that Nirvana song, "Something in the Way," when they started playing that in the one of the opening scenes when he's on the motorcycle. I just thought that fit perfectly with that.
It did.
And then the score by Michael Giacchino, I think it is pronounced. Like, that was just amazing, especially during the Batmobile chase scene when he came out the flames. I was like, oh my, that scene got a standing ovation in my theater.
Yep. Everybody was freaking out with that scene, and I think that scene really stands out also because of Colin Farrell with the Penguin.
Yeah. I wish he was in the movie more.
I do too, but at least it gives us up into more of an interpretation for his character for that potential spin-off series, what we're going to get, and I'm excited what they're going to do with that universe involving his character. It's going to involve some darker elements than what it did in that Gotham series. But I'm excited. I thought Colin Farrell was absolutely unrecognizable, and he just sold me with his performance. And I dug his villainous vibes, and along with the Riddler. And I just like love the fact that the Riddler was part like evil, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, thanks for all the likes and tweets, guys." I thought that was really, really funny. Like the social commentary stuff on like how society is with social media and like the Twitterverse and the YouTubers. Like, I thought Paul Dano nailed every single aspect of the Riddler and just made it his own. Like, he did a really great job with that. So I just wish like him and Batman though were in the scenes like together a little bit more, but in person. But I know the Riddler is just always on the move and just always like 2 steps ahead of everybody. But yeah, I really enjoyed a lot of elements of this film. What do you guys think of the direction from Matthew Reeves? Did you enjoy the way that he took the story, and where do you guys see it going? Do you guys want another sequel?
I think Matt Reeves was a really interesting choice of director, just with what he's done before. He's done The Cloverfield, which is a bit more horror. Then the Planet of the Apes film was very much a character study. So like seeing him get the reins of this kind of larger universe, creating a world, was right up his alley. Like his vision for Gotham, I was completely entranced by this very dark and gritty world of Gotham. He kind of set up lots of little things throughout to tease, potential future stories, future characters. I think he did get a little too overboard in some of his, what I like to call his Matt Reeves-isms, where, you know, the Batcave felt like the Bat Garage to me. I'm like, okay, sure, we're just going to drive under Wayne Tower through all these doors that open and, like, just drive in, park my car in the garage. I'm like, where was the cave that Nolan had in all the other films? Like, they had a really cool cave, and this was like, okay.
That
like,
cave stands out a lot of the times in the Batman, and I think everybody was expecting to see more high-tech Batman, but I guess we're going to see that in the coming films.
I guess, yeah. I didn't even need the high tech. I was just like, so we're like underground in this like abandoned train station. Like, okay. I was just like underwhelming, but oh well. That, and then like, where was Wayne Manor? Like, I'm sorry, like Wayne Tower. That I was like, just like some of his like little things like that, which stylistically very much fit the story and film he was trying to tell. But I was like, this is not the Batman I expect.
Yeah, I could see that.
But his direction, apart from that, was flawless from start to finish. Like, he made sure that that 3-hour runtime, even though I like to complain about the length and would have loved, like, you know, maybe 10 minutes shaved off just a little bit so it wasn't so hard on the bladder.
Yeah, not just on the bladder. I just felt like, all right, then this, like, some of the minor scenes could have been cut. Like, we had some stuff that could have wrapped up a little bit more quickly than in some cases. Like I don't know, like, I don't want to. It would have to go into me spoiling it, but we're not going to spoil that here because it's still out in theaters. We want you all to go see it. So, Mac, what did you want to say about Matt Reeves'
So let me get my hands ready for this. To all the people who said Matt Reeves sucked, piss off. I've been defending Matt Reeves for years. I know Cloverfield, it's like a movie with a great marketing campaign. While the movie was actually kind of good. It's like, you know, it's a fun monster movie. I love the Planet of the Apes movie. I think that's one of the best modern trilogies, one of the most underrated trilogies. Dawn and War were fantastic. War was a great conclusion for that trilogy. Scared for the new movie they're gonna do, but whatever. And they were so good that DC, Warner Brothers, they were like, they've been wanting him to make a Batman movie since 2017. And he said, you know what? Fine. And it's clear, obvious that this man is a true Batman fan. Like, you can tell that this is like people that when they saw that, when they're like, all the announcements, like, oh, we don't know. Then that teaser trailer at DC Fandom in 2020, everyone went nuts for it. They're like, what? Like, who? Reeves Pattinson as Batman? And it's like, it was like, it confirmed everything. I was like, he's going to do a good job with this. And then there are some production issues, some bad test screenings, rumors between him and Pattinson not getting along. But
I don't believe that. I think they go on perfectly.
But like, it worked perfectly. I thought he really did. Out of all the Batman movies, he made probably the most comic accurate Batman. And that's no light thing to like deny. Like, you can say what you want, you know, Nolan was a gritty one, Schumacher was cartoony, Burton was the gothic, and Snyder was Snyder, but Reeves is like most comic accurate. And you can, if you know comic books, you can tell like the sources he used. And one of the big ones, like Darren mentioned earlier, was The Long Hallway with Catwoman. But I think a lot of the stuff that I liked about it was he took a lot of inspiration from Batman Year One, which was like his first year, and like that's one of the best DC animated movies. I don't know if you've ever seen the animated Batman Year One. It's great. Bryan Cranston plays Commissioner Gordon, and I don't know. It's really. I love this direction with it. I thought he did a great job with bringing the whole New York, but it's not New York like in Nolan's film. Like, you can tell, like, this actually looks like a Gotham City.
Yeah, I like the fact, at least for me, it introduced me to a side of Batman that I'm not too familiar with, because I know the older side to Batman. That's why I reference a lot of the Nolan films. So seeing a younger version of him, it really made me interested and get to know the complex side to Bruce himself. So I really love the direction that he took with it, and the script style I really, really dug a lot. So I was fully invested, and to me, it's different in the ways from how I was so used to seeing it from a Keaton and from a Affleck stance. Like, it's so different in those ways, and this goes back to, like, you know, comparing them. And I really dug the direction that he made it with. From this all goes back to like what we were just talking about with even with the score and seeing that scene with the car and Colin Farrell. It all goes back to like all the details that we're talking about, but it's great. It really is, and it's like the old school style of a superhero film, but darker. I enjoyed a lot of it, and I want to ask you guys for that sequel, like what I asked earlier. Do you guys are ready for that sequel besides the HBO Max series? And if so, what could you guys see for the next film? Because there's a character that does pop up. I won't say who. That is potentially Mac. I'm not going to say who, and I won't say what actor plays that said character. But do you think there is a potential between the Riddler and said character?
Fuck no.
I don't know how to respond to that without spoiling what said character is, but my view on this is we have done said character multiple times in Batman films. We have one legendary performance of that character already, if not two.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to leave that character alone and leave it out of the sequel. I think I get why they do it. It's one of the most recognizable Batman villains, so it's going to get people into the theater. But with this one, I feel like Riddler, yes, had been done before by Jim Carrey, but very different style, because we were talking the Schumacher 90s version, which is very cartoonish. I feel like they need to find a character that's very grounded in reality to be the villain. I don't think that character, yes, you can do a realistic approach. I don't think that's the right character, though. I think you need to find something even more grounded. My thought is, I really like the Nolan trilogy using the League of Shadows, but this film was very focused on the corruption within Gotham and kind of the larger conspiracy within. I think the Court of Owls would be a really interesting route to go. It kind of gives you an overarching story you can do over two films while having some other villains be kind of like pawns of theirs in a larger scheme. I think that's the way you go. You keep the sequel grounded and try to avoid the big splashy villains that we're looking like we're heading in that direction.
The way I feel like I could see it, like, I don't think it would be said this character. I could see the Riddler and this character getting along, but I want somebody who is at least the same level-headed mindset as the Riddler. Because of all those social commentary, social media aspects that was portrayed by the Riddler in the film, I'm looking for somebody who could see that and like I could see like the banter of it, like for somebody to compliment. I can't say who because I'm not crazy about the Batman villains and I don't know as many as them.
I think by your context clues, the audience knows who we're talking about. We're gonna keep going.
Yeah. So. But Mac, what do you want to add on to that, or do you want to see what do you want for the sequel?
The one villain we need to bring in is Mr. Freeze, and Mr. Freeze needs to be played by Patrick Stewart, which is the best casting for that. So get Patrick Stewart in another superhero movie and just do the Mr. Freeze story from the Batman animated series, or even if you want to do that,
you can have a multiverse where they all come in, like how Spider-Man was.
Well. I think a villain I would love to see in the Batman sequels is Hush.
Hush could work.
Hush, all right, explain to me Hush.
Hush, Darren, you want to go more?
You take it. No, I don't know much about it, but I know enough to go. That could work in this universe.
So Hush is like Deadshot, but more of criminal than like Heart of Gold, and he has a connection with Batman because him and Bruce are best friends, but then Hush's parents died because and then he blamed Bruce. He kind of was envious of Bruce because he had that rich lifestyle, and he comes back as like this deadly vigilante and stuff like that. And for a universe that they're trying to make it grounded and like a little comic booky, it could work for that, and I would be down for that. But if they want to do the said villain, you could bring in his sidekick possibly, and she could take in the mantle.
He has a sidekick.
Not Hush, the other one.
Oh.
The one we're not speaking.
Okay, I thought we were still speaking about Hush.
Well, Hush, I feel like Hush could work because there is a lot of DC villains that don't get a lot of spotlight, but I feel like Hush for this universe they want to portray, that would probably be the best. And he hasn't been done on screen. He had the animated movie, but that's it. Or if Matt Reeves really wants to get comic booky, do a live action Mask of the Phantasm.
Oh, I know that one. I know that villain, but I'm interested in Hush.
I think it's either Hush or Mask of Phantasm, please. Or here's one more. Why don't you do How about you do Red Hood?
Oh,
Red Hood could work, yeah.
But
There's
you don't
so many villains like that.
I know.
Don't pick the one that they're picking. Do one of these other ones and do that villain maybe for the third film if they feel like it. But
yeah, because it's supposed to be the trilogy. So at least if you want, introduce that villain at the end of the second movie, but bring in someone that could be interesting that could maybe affect in the third movie.
And then just have this superhero villainous party again, like what we had in Spider-Man No Way Home. Bring him all in.
Nicolas Cage says he wants to play Egghead, which is like a lower.
I love it. Just bring it. Just bring it.
Do it.
Egghead. I love it. I also know Egghead. That one I know. My boyfriend was joking around and because he doesn't know the Batman stuff very well, so he goes, "Where's Big Wheel?"
So with this out the way, with the Batman, if I can look at my trusty internet real quick, the Batman has made $472 million. So it's well broken even, and it could be continuing to climb. Does the Batman mark a turning point for DC in its catch up to Marvel? Because it seems like, Darren is shaking his head no.
Oh, let me go on DC. Let me go.
All right, go
Finish what you were saying, then I'll go.
Okay. Because DC, they tried the whole MCU, DCU, and it's a jumbled mess because we don't know what's canon or not. But apparently, the Flash is supposed to fix all that. Apparently, but with the Flash being delayed till next year, and
Black Adam
coming out in December, but Shazam has moved up to December. And Aquaman got pushed back till next year too. But do you feel like that the Batman can be the turning point where people actually take DC serious now with the movies, or do you feel like that they won't catch up, but they'll be in their own realm?
They need to be in their own realm to begin with. DC is DC. It is darker. It is more gritty than Marvel, which is not saying Marvel's always family friendly, but Marvel is generally more family friendly in the stories they have. It's not, and
give it its property.
Yeah.
Don't buy it.
Yeah, especially the films out. DC, I don't think this is a turning point because the internet was ready to love the Batman when that first trailer dropped in 2020. So I think everyone was so bought into the idea of this was the best movie of all time, and then it came out and lo and behold, it was the best movie of all time. I'm not saying that it's a bad movie. It's a stellar film. I don't think it's perfect, but I feel like DC had one where everyone was on board for this film. So unless they really messed it up, it was going to be a hit. I feel like their DCEU with Black Adam, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Aquaman, Lost Kingdom, and The Flash, they've got a lot of work to kind of restore the fan base to what they are expecting from these characters. And everything I hear about The Flash with them resetting and trying to redo everything with Flashpoint, I feel like that one is going to either be a great hit or a massive flop. I'm leaning towards a flop.
That's what I feel too.
It's just they need to stop trying to do what Marvel's doing, embrace their characters, and start trusting their directors. You saw they trusted Matt Reeves for the Batman. It worked. I'm not going to say they trusted Zack Snyder, but we saw the fan reaction to the Snyder Cut where Snyder got his version. Not saying that should have been released in theaters because a 4-hour cut is hard to sell to theater chains and all that. So obviously there's some studio oversight that needs to be played, but they need to be more willing to trust their directors. And until they can have a couple films showing that, since they don't have someone like a Kevin Feige leading the vision, they really need someone like a Kevin Feige in there to lead the vision of the DCEU, because the Warner Brothers execs are just going, what's giving us money, and let's do that. And if they don't think it'll make it money, they'll cut it, even though it was one of the greatest superhero films of all time. Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Well, another.
Right now, they just to jump onto that, they're doing that. Sorry, my dog is moving my computer. I guess they could kind of say they're kind of doing that now. I guess depending on the different properties that they have, I mean, given the Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins stuff that they have, and then that can also be said for the James Wan stuff. But then you're right too, because they do have all the fun stuff, and I think that's what they have been trying to do for years. It's clear as day as that, but. Going back and just trusting their directors. So I guess as long as they keep trusting the fact that they rely on Patty Jenkins and James Wan, then they'll be fine. But then that can't be said for all the other films that they have. So.
Yeah, because going back to the whole Snyder cut, I think it really changed when that released, and then there's already a lot of resentment towards the Batman because they refuse to take Pattinson. They want Ben Affleck's Batman, which is another question. Do you think if Ben Affleck kept as Batman, it would have been, and they did this version of it with him, would it be well received as Pattinson, or would it have been like,
I think it would have been a little bit well received. I think, though, he would have just been a little too old to play that part, I think. Because given how Ben Affleck has now since aged, Robert Pattinson is still in that, he's in his mid-30s, so he's like in that phase where he's still playing that younger version of Batman, so he's playing it, but yeah, it would have just been received a little bit differently, so I'm kind of happy they just recasted it and it suits it for the best. I think there would have been elements that were like, all the other stuff that makes it skeptical and spectacular would have been praised, but the performance, I think, would have let it down.
But I guess if there's anything else, well, I guess before we give our ratings, what did you guys like about the Batman? Because obviously this is a great film, but every film has its flaws. So I can go first. I thought that maybe about 30 minutes could have been shaved off.
30 minutes would have been saved, and like I said,
I'm down for long movies, like as long as because it's not like they wasted every minute of it. They actually were telling a very cohesive narrative. But I do feel like that if you just trim a little bit of the fat, and there is I think the scene when he was on the stadium on the rooftop, I felt like that would have been the best ending of because it would just cut right there and you'd be like, okay, exactly what's going on, but it kind of felt like it dragged on a bit. So just cut a little bit of that out, and I would say perfect 10.
Mm-hmm. I would have just liked to have seen some minor edits been made to make it at least a 2-hour and a 30-minute film. Because, I was glued to the entire time, but some of the pacing elements weren't as strong for me. I felt like all the pacing, how is timed with the action, didn't really pair well at times, I think. Because there's a difference between time and pace. So, I just felt like that didn't always work. But did I still love it? Yeah. And I think that would have just been better. But I think just if Matt Reeves listens to the minor little Nicky picks and he makes it great for the sequel, then I think I'll love the next one more. But I do love this version though.
Yeah, runtime, big issue. I felt the pacing was really rough in the first 20 to 30 minutes. I was sitting there in the theater on open night going, oh no, I'm going to hate this movie, and it's 3 hours. Get me out of here. It turned around very quickly and became excellent. But
yeah,
they need to get that pacing to start it a bit faster, because once it got going, it was great. My biggest complaint is coming to the characters. I touched on it with Zoe Kravitz. I thought that Gordon and Alfred were severely underused.
That was another fear I had too.
I don't think Wright had a scene without Batman, so we never got to see who Jim Gordon was in this universe. It was just here he is with Batman, the duo, which is a big part of him, but you didn't get a sense of who his character was. Same with Alfred. He had very limited screen time. Mm-hmm. But my biggest character complaint was actually about Bruce Wayne. 95% of the film, Pattinson was Batman, and he was great. The time we spent with him as Bruce Wayne was very limited, and I got no sense of who this Bruce Wayne is. And I feel like that's really important to the Batman character, because there's a duality to them. They're one and the same person. There's, Batman can do all this stuff, but there is some stuff that Bruce Wayne can do that Batman can't do. And I think Nolan got that dichotomy really well in his film. This one, they're doing the younger version of Batman who doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne, which is fine. You can do that storyline. It's part of the character. but I didn't get the sense of why he didn't want to be Bruce Wayne. What was the motivation there? Like, what was this motivation that was driving him to do what he was doing? I needed maybe 5 or 10 more minutes of Bruce Wayne time, getting a sense of who he was in this version to make this film make a bit more sense to me. Because he just had a throwaway line of, oh, I don't want to talk to the accountants, or I don't want to be Bruce Wayne. But I didn't get the motivation for that.
Yeah, I could totally see it. Or could it be because his parents took him to Shrek? Because there was this whole meeting.
Shut up.
It's not Shrek. They went to Harry Potter. This is a Warner Brothers film. Come on.
I'm so sick of that joke. I was like, piss off. I hate it. I really do. I was like, no, it's not Shrek. They saw Monsters, Inc.
I saw Monsters.
But yeah, the Batman's awesome. And what are your final ratings, Darren? You can go first.
I was an 8.5 out of 10.
So for me, that's like at least a 9. So I'm going with a 4.5, 8 for me, because like I really did like it for what it was. It's almost quite an A+, but just some minor things I think really fixed it.
I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. My dad gave it a 7 out of 10. I was like, you are smoking all the weed in the room, because I don't know what the hell you saw 7. Yeah, for all the people who hate the Batman, why? Why do you hate this movie? This movie's great. Was it boring?
Let us know.
Was it not a Marvel movie for you? Let us know your thoughts on the Batman below in the comments.
Were there no bat nipples?
Yeah, what's your favorite Batman? What's your favorite Batman? Who's your worst Batman? So let us know. But if that's it, I think we're going to wrap up and get into some numbers. Okay, so wrapping up today's show, we're going to go over the weekend box office numbers from March 11th to 13th. So starting off at number 10, we got Scream still kicking in there with $469,000 made. Jackass Forever, which dropped down from 7 to 9 with $1 million. Sing 2, which dropped from 6 to 8, which made 1.6 million. Then we got Radhi Shyam, I hope I pronounced that right, with coming in strong at $1.8 million. Death on the Nile comes in at number 6 after dropping from number 5 with $2.4 million. Spider-Man Far From Home still sits in the top 5, only going down 1 spot with $4 million made. Then we got Dog at number 4, dropping from number 3 with $5.2 million. Then we have BTS, Permission to Dance on Stage, their live viewing, which is $6.8 million. Before I continue, did anyone see that?
No, I knew that was a thing. I thought it was only like a one-night thing. I didn't realize it was going to be a full theater experience.
Yeah, they're bringing back the theater experience, so maybe we'll get another Jonas Brothers and Justin Bieber movie.
Well, it was mostly just Justin Bieber. Jonas Brothers tried, but they didn't really. They're doing it well on the streaming side, but.
And then number 2, we got Uncharted with 9.2 million, and then the Batman comes in number 1 at $66.5 million. So that's a lot of money.
I have a question for you guys, actually. So we are getting a certain other film in a couple of weeks. It's called Morbius. So do you think we could see DC at number 2 and Morbius as number 1?
Who the hell are you, Matt?
I am Venom. I'm just kidding. It's Dr. Michael Morbius at your service.
Guys, I know we are an audio podcast. We do show our faces for our interview segments, but Mac is covering his face right now. He looks so embarrassed right now that I'm even bringing this up. I wish you could capture this moment.
Morbius looks like dog shit, and I'm all for it. It looks terrible, but fun. Jared Leto is going to kill it. I want this to be the new Venom. If there's not an Eminem song that's like Morbius, then I'm not in it. Like, it looks...
No, you know what we should do?
What?
Kendrick Lamar or somebody like Dr. Dre should come in and just go Morbius, or someone like Flavor Flav and go
God, please.
Morbius. with his like favorite play clock and just go Morbius, and then
No, Morbius is gonna do well the first weekend, but there's so much stuff coming out in April because you got that Michael Bay movie. You know, they're Michael Bay people. They'll just see Jake Gyllenhaal. They'll go see it, and then you got the Nicolas Cage stuff. So it's like I feel like Morbius is gonna fall, and it's been delayed so many times. Like, do we even know if it's gonna really come out? Are they dead set on that? Like, is it gonna be delayed one more time? But like,
It's
I don't
coming
know.
out on April Fool's Day. It's a joke, right?
it's a joke.
Yeah.
I bought
but
my
that-
tickets, but I'm convinced it's a joke. It doesn't.
That
exist.
trailer does not help it so much. He's like, who are you? I am Venom. Now I'm Dr. Michael Morbius at your service.
My boyfriend quotes that to me all the time. He'll text that to me just really randomly, and he just knows how to make me laugh with that. And I'm just, God damn it. But there's a great tweet that from Dylan O'Brien when he tweeted it on January 4th. So he heard this was in regards to the move up. So Dylan O'Brien said, I've heard this is super good. So they keep having to push it back because we aren't able to handle it yet. Because it's so good, we need more time to evolve as species to do better, to be prepared to handle this movie. A good movie.
How much was he paid to say that?
I don't know.
Is he in the movie?
No, Dylan O'Brien, no. He was just trying to
Maybe he is. Maybe he's like a
Question
sequel
mark?
piece because
I
you know
think he was
Sony is just gonna milk
teasing.
it for all it's worth.
I
But
think
it
he
got
was just-
delayed 3
Yeah.
times before the pandemic, so like that's not a good side to begin with. So you know,
Well, think about it like this. It was originally going to come out in January. If you know movies that it's usually the screw you is January month where they just put all the movies they know it's going to die in the
dump
month.
truck
But
month.
yeah, but they pushed it to April, so maybe they have a little faith with it because they could have just delayed it a whole nother year. But I think they got too much money invested into it because I really think they delayed it just to put one of the Spider-Man in the movie because of No Way Home.
oh 1,000%. That's what
Mhm.
happened because they delayed it like a week before it was supposed to come out. Like you don't do that just to their reason to let Spider-Man have more money at the box office. Morbius was not going to dethrone Spider-Man. Let's be real.
Yeah, let's be
I mean,
honest.
maybe it would have, you know.
For 1 week.
No,
one
I
weekend.
think it would have just been number one, and then Spider-Man would have just gone, okay, well, people don't like that, so we'll just make it number one
Yeah.
again. So, yeah, it's, I don't know at this point. I could see that, though, happening with the Batman, though. I don't think, here's the thing, though, with my thing with Ambulance, I don't think it will be as successful as Michael Bay has hopes it would be. That's
I
a
think
theory.
it should have came out on Netflix.
That's a good reason.
You know, it won't be Ambulance that takes out Morbius. It'll be Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Oh,
Oh
yes!
yeah,
Is
that's true.
Yeah, it's Morbius. So Morbius will take the crown from Batman for 1 weekend because everyone who watches Batman will go watch Morbius. Then they'll all go watch Sonic. And then Fantastic Beasts comes out. So, the audiences that watch these films will be jumping from film to film. So I'll just kind of move with the box office each week until Doctor Strange comes out in May and then reigns supreme for a few weeks.
I completely forgot about some Fantastic Beasts. I do not.
I don't even
movies
care.
suck. Those movies, like,
number one most anticipated film of the year for me.
Okay,
So.
yeah, that's fine. If you
Yeah.
guys want to hear us talk about it, we won't be talking about it. So
well, it's
don't
like,
get your hopes up on Fantastic Beasts over here.
I'm like, I don't know. It's just like, oh wow. The first one was okay. The second one was like, yeah. I was like, the third one, I'm like, do we really need a third one?
I just thought about them. I'm just like, oh, okay, this is coming out. Okay.
I'm kind of confused.
Like, I think sometimes now Warner Brothers just shrugs their shoulders at the Harry Potter Fantastic films. They're like, okay,
So
we'll just put
we
it
got
out.
We got Space Jam to worry about. Look at all our properties.
Oh yeah, they got the Space Jam, and then they got the whatchamacallit, the
Coyote versus
John,
Acme.
Yes, with the John Cena.
I'm actually excited for that. I actually want to see that.
I think it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be stupidly ridiculous, but who knows? It's probably going to be fun.
I hope
It
it's
can't
like,
be worse than Space Jam: A New Legacy. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I just
bet
hope it's
it
like,
has to be.
I hope it's like Looney Tunes back in action with Brendan Fraser.
Oh my
Yes.
god, that's old school. That's showing our age.
Ugh.
Damn.
It's a classic.
I
It's
remember
better.
seeing that movie when I used to go to the grocery store. Like they would just, when they used to sell DVDs at the grocery store, they would always try to sell me on that DVD. I'd be like, no, thank you.
No, but-
I've seen it.
My favorite scene from that movie was when I liked how it incorporated all their cartoon characters together, and there was a callback to Matthew Lillard as Shaggy when they had Casey Kasem as Shaggy's like, what was that, man? You made me sound like a total space cadet. He's like, I was trying to bring some nuance to character. He's like, you goof on me at the sequel, I'm coming after you. And Scooby's like, yeah, I'll give you a Scooby.
What kind of performance do you call that? You made me sound like a total space cadet, man.
I'm sorry you feel that way. I was trying to be real to your character.
If you like goof on me in the sequel, I'm coming after you.
Yeah, and I'll give you a Scooby smack.
I was like, I love it. That is like comedy. I love that.
Alrighties, the guys. Just to end on that note, that was
this has been a great episode. Darren, thank you so much for joining us. And where can the folks find you at? Like, what are some of your places where you do your work?
So first of all, thank you so much for having me on. That was an absolute blast. I love all our throwback mentions in there. Looney Tunes, Zoe 101. It's been a ride today. It's been great. Everyone can find me on Instagram at Darren Movie Reviews, and then at the end of the month, I'll be back on guidetomovies.com with my Marvel recaps for Moon Knight every week.
Everybody go check them out once Moon Knight comes out, because that's going to be a show worth talking about. I'm so excited.
Yes.
Especially that Oscar Isaac. Oh, it's going to be great with Ethan Hawke, two of them. If you haven't seen that fighting video, you're really missing out on that. But otherwise, it's going to be a great series. Thank you so much again, Darren. And we will have you back on the show for future episodes. So, Mac, where the good people can find us now?
They can find us at the M&K Productions Podcast on Instagram. They can go donate to our Patreon, which is $1 a month on patreon.com. They can check our individual Instagram page at Mac Movie Reviews on Instagram and at Miss Flamingo on Instagram. And check us out on YouTube at Mac Movie Reviews or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, at the M&K Productions Podcast. But for now, I've been Mac. This has been Kristen. This has been Darren. And you've been listening to another episode of the M&K Productions Podcast. Bye.
Bye.
Fuck you in the lanes you came with. Me and you ain't on the same shit. You ain't in my lane, bitch. Nah, all that shit and fit. Rollie on my wrist. Ay, baby, you a star. I'm my only wish. I'm counting blue hundreds. I'm too money. Ay, and my little bitch, she too lovely. Yeah, hanging up and calling me right back. Ay, baby, why you calling me like that? Yeah, getting high with the seat laid back.